John Miller was tired. His old car had broken down twice on the highway, and the night drive through the endless desert had drained him completely. When he finally saw the neon sign of a small roadside motel flickering in the dark, he felt both relief and worry. The place looked cheap, almost abandoned, but he had no choice. He needed rest. The motel clerk barely looked at him, just handed him a rusty key and muttered, "Room 12." The corridor smelled of dust and old smoke. John didn't care. He dropped his bag, kicked off his shoes, and collapsed on the bed. Sleep took him instantly. The morning was quiet. Too quiet. Not even the sound of cars outside. Sunlight pushed weakly through the old curtains, painting long, golden lines on the floor. John's stomach growled. He hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. His head pounded, but the thought of food made him stand up. He noticed a small laminated menu on the bedside table. Motel breakfast, delivered to your room. John smiled. Finally, something easy. He picked up the phone and ordered scrambled eggs, toast, and coffee. The clerk on the line gave no emotion, just said, "It will be delivered soon." He washed his face in the cracked bathroom mirror, wondering how long it would take to fix his car. He thought about calling a mechanic, but before he could plan further, knock. Knock. His heart jumped. That was fast. Too fast. He walked to the door, yawning, and pulled it open. The yawn froze in his throat. Standing there was not the motel clerk, not a waitress, not even a human, at least not fully. It was a girl. At first glance, she looked normal, young, maybe in her early 20s, with long black hair that shone strangely under the sunlight. She wore a plain motel uniform, but it didn't fit her well, like she had just borrowed it. Her eyes, however, were not normal. They glowed faintly, a shifting mix of silver and blue like a storm trapped in glass. Beneath her pale skin, John saw thin silver lines glowing faintly, running across her arms and neck like veins made of light. In her hands was a tray, his breakfast. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. John blinked, rubbed his eyes, and blinked again. He thought maybe he was still half asleep, dreaming. Hi?" he finally said. His voice cracked. The girl tilted her head, studying him as if he were the strange one. Then she gave a small, hesitant smile. "Breakfast," she said in broken English. Her voice was soft, almost musical, but strange, as though she was not used to speaking human words. John stepped back slowly. His brain raced. Was this some kind of prank? A movie set? Maybe the motel hired actors to surprise guests? None of it made sense. The girl walked inside without waiting for permission and placed the tray on the small wooden table near the window. She looked around the room with wide, curious eyes, as if everything was new to her. The curtains, the chair, even the old lamp. John's heart hammered in his chest. He shut the door quickly, half expecting someone else to follow her in. But there was no one. Only silence. Who are you?" he asked carefully. The girl looked at him again, her silver blue eyes catching the light. "I bring food," she said simply. Her accent was heavy, like English was not her first language. She pointed at the eggs and toast. "For you." John stared at the food, then back at her. His stomach growled again, reminding him he was hungry, but he didn't dare touch it. Something about her felt wrong. Not dangerous yet, but otherworldly. He noticed her hands trembled slightly. Her fingers were long, delicate, and the silver veins under her skin pulsed faintly with light, like tiny rivers carrying energy instead of blood. John swallowed hard. "Okay, this is crazy," he muttered under his breath. The girl sat down in the chair by the table, uninvited, and picked up a piece of toast. She sniffed it, then took a small bite. Her eyes widened in wonder, and she chewed, slowly, almost like a child tasting food for the first time. "You like it?" John asked carefully. She nodded quickly, smiling now with genuine joy. "Warm, soft, good." For a second, she looked almost normal, almost human. But then the television in the corner caught her attention. It was on mute, left running by the last guest. A news channel flashed across the screen. Breaking news: meteor crash outside town. Authorities investigating. The girl froze. Her smile vanished. Her glowing eyes widened in fear. She stood up so fast the chair nearly fell over, her hands clenched into fists, trembling. John watched, confused. What's wrong? She turned to him, her voice sharper now but still struggling with English. No meteor, not rock. Ship. The word hit John like a cold wind. Ship. He laughed nervously. Wait, you mean spaceship? The girl nodded once, dead serious. Her glowing eyes locked onto his. John's throat went dry. He looked at her again, really looked. The glowing veins, the strange way she spoke, the fear when she saw the news. She wasn't human, and if what she said was true, then something far bigger than breakfast was happening outside this motel. John's hands shook as he sat on the edge of the bed. His mind spun in circles. He had ordered breakfast from a dusty motel, not this. A glowing-eyed girl claiming a spaceship had crashed outside town. It sounded insane, something out of a cheap sci-fi movie. And yet, she was standing right in front of him, as real as the sunlight creeping through the curtains. The girl still held the piece of toast, nibbling at it like she had not eaten in days. Crumbs stuck to her lips, and for a moment she looked almost human again. But every time she turned her head, those silver blue eyes shimmered, reminding John this was no normal guest. Finally, he gathered his courage. Okay, he said slowly, trying not to sound scared. Who are you? Really? Not food delivery. Not motel staff. What are you? The girl chewed carefully, swallowed, then looked straight at him. Her voice was soft, but steady. Name. Hard in your words. Call me Lyra. Lyra, John repeated. The name felt strange but familiar enough to say. She nodded. Yes, Lyra. He rubbed his forehead. Fine, Lyra, why are you here? Why this motel? Why me? She tilted her head like she didn't understand the last question. Hungry, she said simply. Need food, saw, paper. She pointed at the menu he had used. Follow smell. Eggs, bread, coffee. John's jaw dropped. You mean you just walked in here because of food? She gave a small nod, biting into another piece of toast. Food, safe. Not like others. Others? He asked. Lyra's glowing eyes darkened, shadow passing through them. She set the toast down carefully as if her appetite had vanished. Her silver-lined fingers trembled. Hunters. They follow crash. Not safe. John frowned. Wait, hold on. Hunters like people? Not people. Not all. Her English broke, but her meaning was heavy. Some wear skin like yours, some not. They want ship. Want me. John felt the air in the room grow heavier. He glanced at the window instinctively, half expecting dark shapes to be watching from outside. The parking lot looked empty, but suddenly the silence felt dangerous. You're telling me, he whispered, there are aliens hunting you, and you just walked into my room with my breakfast? She blinked, then gave a tiny smile. Lucky you. John almost laughed, but it came out nervous and shaky. Lucky, right. He stared at her glowing veins again, his mind spinning. This isn't real. This can't be real. But it was. Too many details proved it. He needed to know more. That crash last night, the one on the news, that was you, wasn't it? Lyra lowered her gaze. For a moment she didn't speak. Then she nodded. Ship broken. Burned. Others gone. Her voice cracked, pain hidden in the broken words. John realized she was alone, lost, maybe even scared. Despite her strange glow, despite her alien presence, he saw loneliness in her. You're hiding here, he said slowly. At this motel. Yes. She touched her wrist where the silver light pulsed stronger. Need time? Heal. John leaned forward. And these hunters? How long until they find you? Her eyes lifted to meet his, glowing brighter now. Soon. The word sent a chill straight through him. Silence filled the room. Only the faint buzz of the motel's old air conditioner hummed in the background. John glanced at the breakfast tray. The eggs were already cooling. His coffee had gone cold. But eating was the last thing on his mind. He was sitting across from a being from another world, a being hunted, a being who had chosen his room to hide in. And now, whether he liked it or not, he was involved. Lyra suddenly stood walking to the TV, her eyes fixed again on the silent news footage, military trucks at the crash site, workers in hazmat suits, reporters talking, though no sound came through. She pressed her glowing hand against the screen. They call it meteor. Her voice was bitter now. Not meteor, ship. They hide truth. John's throat tightened. Governments hiding aliens. Secret hunters. It sounded impossible. But the proof stood right in front of him. He tried to think logically. If this is true, he said carefully, if these hunters are coming, then staying here is suicide. They'll check every motel, every room. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes piercing. I know. That's why I need help. John blinked. Help from me? No. I'm not part of this. I'm just a guy trying to eat breakfast and fix his car. She stepped closer, close enough that the faint glow of her veins lit her skin like starlight. Her voice softened. You good heart. You didn't call them. You didn't scream. You listen. That is rare. John's breath caught. Part of him wanted to slam the door, call the police, forget all of this. But another part, the part staring at her eyes, hearing the pain in her voice, felt something else. Responsibility. Before he could answer, the sound came. Crunch tires on gravel. John's head whipped toward the window. A black van pulled into the motel parking lot. Dark windows. Too clean, too quiet. Not tourists. Not travelers. Lyra's entire body stiffened. Her glowing veins pulsed brighter as if reacting to danger. She whispered one word and it sent ice through John's veins. They found me. John's pulse quickened as he peeked through the dusty curtains. The black van outside didn't belong. Its engine stayed on, humming low like a predator waiting in the shadows. The tinted windows reflected the morning sun, hiding whoever was inside. Stay calm, he whispered to himself, but his voice cracked. Behind him, Lyra moved silently, her glowing eyes locked on the vehicle. Her silver veins pulsed brighter with every second. She seemed to sense more than John could see. They search, she said softly. Her broken English gave the words an eerie weight. Not safe here, John's throat tightened. Who are they? Government, FBI? What do they want with you? Lyra shook her head slowly. Not government. Not your people, hunters. John spun toward her. Hunters? You keep saying that. Hunters of what? She looked at him, long, steady, unblinking. For the first time since she had entered his room, her expression shifted. Not fear, not confusion, but something deeper. Resignation. They hunt. Me. John swallowed. Why? Her answer came in fragments, broken like glass. Because of what I carry. What I know. She touched her wrist again. The silver veins there glowed brighter, forming faint symbols that flickered like holograms just beneath her skin. John leaned closer, his curiosity overtaking his fear. What is that? Memory, map, code, she said, struggling to form the words. It lives in me. They want it. If they take it, they win. John frowned. Win what? Some alien war? Lyra's eyes darkened. She didn't laugh. She didn't explain further. Instead, she stepped toward the table, pulling her sleeve up higher. The glow along her arms spread, forming patterns, circles, lines, symbols like a constellation of stars drawn under her skin. For a moment, the room itself seemed to dim, as if her light had replaced the sun. John's jaw dropped. You're carrying? He struggled for words. A whole computer? A star map? She nodded once. Yes, map to places. To weapons, to hope. John ran a hand through his hair, pacing. This is insane. Absolutely insane. He pointed toward the van outside. And they know you have it? Yes, they smell it, feel it, like blood and water. Her voice was calm, but her eyes trembled. John froze. A chill slid down his spine. And if they catch you? Her gaze hardened, and for the first time her words came out almost perfect. If they catch me, they erase me. The way she said it, quiet, final, made John's stomach twist. This wasn't just fear. It was certainty. Suddenly the sound of heavy boots echoed down the motel hallway. Loud, steady, getting closer. John snapped his head toward the door. Shadows moved under the crack. Someone was outside. Room 12. A deep voice muttered. Lyra tensed, her glowing veins pulsing like lightning trapped in her body. John's heart pounded. He whispered, "What do I do? What do I do?" Lyra grabbed his hand, pulling it toward her wrist. The glowing symbols under her skin flared brighter, wrapping faint light around his fingers. John tried to pull back, but her grip was firm. "What are you doing?" He hissed. "Bond," she whispered. "So they cannot take me easy. So they cannot break me easy." The glow spread, seeping into his skin like fire and ice at the same time. John gasped. A sharp pain shooting up his arm, then fading into warmth. For a brief moment he saw flashes, stars swirling, a silver planet, a giant ship burning in the sky. Images that weren't his memories, then it was gone. The light dimmed. Lyra let go and John stumbled back. "What the hell was that?" He whispered, her eyes softened. "Now, part of map lives in you." John froze. His stomach dropped. "You put that thing in me? Are you insane?" "Safe," she said quickly. "If they take me, they don't take all. You carry peace. They cannot win easy." John opened his mouth to argue, but the sharp click of a lock echoed outside. Someone was opening the motel door with a master key. "No time," Lyra whispered. Her glowing hand reached for his. "Trust me." The door handle turned. John's survival instinct screamed at him. He grabbed Lyra's hand. She pulled him toward the bathroom. They slipped inside just as the door to the room opened. Through the thin bathroom wall, John heard boots shuffle across the floor. A man's voice spoke, calm but chilling. "She was here. I can feel it," another voice, colder. "Search everywhere." John's breath caught. He looked at Lyra, who stood perfectly still, glowing faintly in the darkness of the bathroom. Her eyes closed, her chest rising slow, controlled. She didn't breathe like a normal human. She waited, silent as stone. The hunters moved around the room, opening drawers, lifting bedsheets, slamming doors. One came close, too close. John could see his shadow under the bathroom door. His heart thundered so loud he thought they would hear it. Sweat slid down his face. He wanted to run, to fight, to scream. But Lyra reached out, placing one glowing finger against his lips. Silence. The hunter paused. For a long moment the shadow stood still. Then slowly it turned and moved away. The front door closed with a slam. Footsteps retreated down the hall. John didn't breathe until he was sure they were gone. He leaned against the wall, gasping. "That was too close," he whispered. Lyra opened her eyes, glowing steady again. "They won't stop." "More will come." John swallowed hard. "And now I've got your map thing inside me. Great, just great." But even as he spoke, deep inside, something had changed. The images he'd seen, the stars, the burning ship, they lingered in his mind. He felt connected in ways he couldn't explain. Lyra saw it too. Her faint smile returned. "Now, John Miller, you are not just human. You are part of secret bigger than your world." John stared at her, still shaking, still disbelieving. But he knew one thing for certain. His life would never ever be normal again. The motel room was silent again, but the silence felt heavy, like a storm waiting just outside. John leaned against the bathroom wall, his chest still rising and falling too fast. His mind screamed for him to run, to leave all of this behind, but his legs felt locked in place. Lyra stood calm, glowing faintly in the shadows. Her silver veins had dimmed again, but her eyes stayed sharp, alert. She seemed to be listening to something beyond human hearing. "They know," she whispered. "They smell trace of me. They will not stop until I am caught." John shook his head, running a hand through his hair. "This is insane. I'm just a guy." "I can't knock. The sound froze him. Not a light knock, not a polite one. This was heavy, firm, a warning. John's stomach dropped. "Room 12, a deep voice called, smooth, controlled, almost too calm. "We know you're inside. Open the door." John and Lyra exchanged a look. She shook her head quickly, her eyes wide. "Do not open it." Another knock followed, louder this time. The cheap door rattled. "We don't want trouble," the voice continued. Hand over the girl and you won't be hurt. John's skin prickled. How did they already know she was here? The knob twisted sharply. The lock held, but the sound made John's heart pound faster. They'll break it, he whispered. Lyra nodded. Yes, John swallowed hard. His eyes darted around the tiny bathroom. No weapons, no escape. Just thin walls and fear. Then he remembered. The old back window. This way, he muttered. He pulled Lyra toward it, sliding open the flimsy glass pane. The cool desert air rushed in. Go, he whispered. But Lyra hesitated, her glowing eyes fixed on him. You first. Oh, no time to argue, he hissed. He climbed out awkwardly, landing on the gravel behind the motel. Lyra slipped out next, almost floating, her movement strangely graceful. The moment her feet touched the ground, the front door of the motel room crashed open. Bang! Shouts echoed. Heavy boots stormed inside. John grabbed Lyra's hand. Run! They sprinted across the back lot, gravel crunching under their shoes. John's lungs burned, but Lyra moved effortlessly beside him, her glow faint but steady. Behind them, a voice shouted, Target on the move! A sharp whistle cut the air. Then came the buzzing, small drones rising into the sky, black insect-like machines with glowing red sensors. Keep low, John shouted, dragging Lyra behind a row of abandoned cars near the edge of the property. The drones hovered overhead, scanning with beams of red light. One passed dangerously close, humming like a giant wasp. John held his breath, pulling Lyra down against the rusted hood of a car. The beam swept past. The drone moved on. But the hunters were closer now. John could hear them spreading out, their heavy steps crunching in unison. Not clumsy, not careless, professionals, predators. What do they want with you? He whispered, barely daring to speak. Lyra's glowing eyes met his in the shadows. The map, the code. They will tear it from me. From you too now. John's stomach twisted. He hated being part of this. Hated the way his life had spun out of control in just a few hours. But he couldn't leave her. Not with those men, not with those machines. A sudden spotlight beam cut across the back lot. John ducked, pulling Lyra down. The hunters were sweeping the area. We need a plan, he whispered. Lyra closed her eyes, her silver veins glowing brighter. For a moment her body pulsed with faint energy. The nearby drone flickered, its red eye dimming. It buzzed wildly, then fell, crashing into the dirt. John's eyes widened. You can do that? She nodded once. Small things. But costs me. Her face looked paler now, weaker. John clenched his fists. Okay, then I'll handle the big things. The spotlight swung closer. Voices shouted. One hunter rounded the corner of the car, his weapon raised. John didn't think, he acted. He grabbed a loose brick from the ground and hurled it with all his strength. It struck the hunter's helmet with a dull crack. The man stumbled, cursing. Run! John shouted again. They bolted, weaving between the cars. Shouts and gunfire followed. Bullets striking metal and shattering glass. Sparks lit the darkness. John's lungs burned, his legs ached, but adrenaline pushed him forward. Lyra kept pace, her glowing veins leaving faint trails of light as she moved. At the edge of the lot, they reached a chain-link fence. Beyond it, the desert stretched wide and empty. They'll trap us out there, John gasped. No, Lyra said firmly. Her eyes glowed brighter now. There is safe path. I know, she touched the fence. The metal hissed, glowing silver for a second, then snapping apart. A hole opened wide enough for them to slip through. John stared in shock. You've got to teach me that trick. No time, she whispered. They crawled through, stumbling onto the open desert floor. The hunters shouted behind them, but the fence slowed their pursuit. John and Lyra ran into the rising sun, the desert stretching endless and unforgiving before them. Behind them, the hunters regrouped, their voices carried on the wind. Don't lose them. They're carrying it now, both of them. John's chest tightened. He glanced at Lyra, who ran beside him with glowing veins and fierce determination. This wasn't just her fight anymore. Whether he liked it or not, he was in it too. The desert stretched wide and empty, glowing red under the last light of sunset. John's breath came in ragged gasps as he stumbled across the sand, his shoes filled with grit, each step heavier than the last. Behind him, faint shouts still echoed. The hunters were not far. Beside him, Lyra moved more easily. Her feet barely seemed to touch the ground. Even in exhaustion, she carried herself with strange grace, her silver blue eyes reflecting the dying sun. But John noticed something else. The glow under her skin was weaker now, dimming like a candle in the wind. "You okay?" he managed, struggling to keep his voice steady. Hold," she whispered. Her English was broken, but her meaning was clear. She was running out of strength. John scanned the horizon. Nothing but sand, rock, and distant mountains. Nowhere to hide. The desert felt endless, unforgiving. "We need cover," he said. "If they send more drones, we're done." As if the desert heard him, a faint buzz rose in the distance. John's stomach twisted. "Too late," Lyra said softly. The red glow of drones appeared over the ridge, 3 of them this time, moving like hunting dogs closing on prey. John cursed under his breath. "Great, just great." Lyra stopped running. She turned to face the machines, her silver veins glowing brighter. Energy sparked faintly from her fingertips. "No." John grabbed her arm. "You'll burn yourself out. You said it cost you, remember?" Her eyes met his, sharp, determined. "Better me." Then both of us caught. Before she could unleash her power, John pulled her behind a cluster of boulders. They pressed their backs to the stone, shadows hiding them from the sweeping red beams. John's chest heaved. He tried to think. He had no weapons, no plan. But he couldn't let her sacrifice herself. Not after everything. The first drone passed overhead, humming low. Its red light slid across the rocks. John pressed himself flat, holding his breath. Lyra leaned close, her glow hidden beneath her skin now, dimmed by sheer will. The beam swept away. The drone moved on. John exhaled shakily. "Too close, we can't fight them," he whispered. "Not like this. We need to run smarter." Lyra tilted her head. "Smarter?" "Yeah, not straight lines, zigzag, hide in shadows. Use terrain." For the first time she gave a small smile. "Hunter tricks?" John smirked weakly. "Survival tricks." They moved again, weaving between rocks, ducking low whenever a drone passed. The desert grew darker, stars beginning to pierce the sky. The hunters' shouts faded, but John knew it wasn't over. They were regrouping, circling, tightening their net. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached a dry ravine. Shadows pooled inside, deep and protective. John slid down the slope, collapsing against the cool sand. Lyra followed, but slower this time. She sank to her knees, her glow almost gone. Her shoulders trembled. Hey, John said quickly, moving beside her. "Don't quit on me now." She closed her eyes, her breathing uneven. "Power low, body." "Not human strong." "Need rest?" John looked around helplessly. "Rest in the open?" "They'll find us in minutes," but he saw the truth in her face. She was fading. John bit his lip, thinking fast. He pulled off his jacket and draped it around her shoulders. "Okay, you rest. I'll keep watch." Her eyes flickered open, silver glow faint. She studied him for a long moment, then whispered, "Why help me?" John blinked. "What do you mean?" "You're being hunted. You'd be dead without me." "Yes," she said softly, "but you risk your life. For stranger, for alien." John looked away, staring at the stars above. "I don't know. Maybe because no one else would. Maybe because you didn't ask for this." Silence stretched between them. The desert wind whispered, carrying the faint cries of distant coyotes. Lyra leaned against the boulder, her head tilting slightly toward him. "On my world," she said slowly, searching for words, "trust is rare, but you—" "Trust me." John gave a weak laugh. "Or I'm just stupid." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Maybe both." For a moment, despite the fear, despite the danger, John felt something strange. A connection. Not just to her, but to something larger, like the images she had planted in his mind, the stars and burning ships. It was as if he was part of her story now. The buzzing returned. Louder this time, John cursed. "They're sweeping the ravine." Lyra struggled to her feet, swaying slightly. "Go, leave me. They want me, not you." "Not happening," John said firmly. He stood with her, gripping her arm to steady her. "We get out together, or not at all." The first red beam cut across the ravine. Sand lit up like blood under its glow. John pulled Lyra deeper into the shadows. The beam swept past, but another followed. "They close," she whispered. John's mind raced. Then he spotted it, a narrow cave entrance half hidden by rocks. "There!" He pointed. They ran, sliding into the dark just as the drones closed in. Inside, the cave was damp, cool, and narrow. John pressed them against the wall, holding his breath as the buzzing grew louder. The drones hovered outside, scanning the rocks. Red light spilled across the cave's mouth. For a terrible moment, John thought they would enter, but then slowly they drifted away. Silence returned. John slumped against the wall, his whole body trembling. That was too close. Lyra leaned beside him, her glow faint but steady. She whispered, "You saved me again." John gave a tired smile. "Get used to it." She looked at him, her eyes soft, almost human. "You are different from others," John chuckled weakly. Yeah, I get that a lot, but inside he felt it too. Something was changing. Not just in her. Not just in him. In both of them together. And as the desert night deepened, John realized one thing. He wasn't just running from hunters anymore. He was running toward something bigger. The cave was cold and damp. Drops of water fell from the ceiling, echoing in the dark. John sat against the rough wall, his chest still heaving from the chase. His body ached, his throat dry, but he dared not sleep. Outside, the desert was quiet again, but quiet meant nothing now. Quiet could hide death. Beside him, Lyra rested. Her silver glow had dimmed almost to nothing, faint traces of light pulsing weakly under her skin. Her eyes were half closed, but John knew she wasn't asleep. She was listening. Listening to the night, to the sky, maybe even to things his human ears could never hear. Finally, John broke the silence. His voice was low but steady. "You need to tell me the truth, all of it. No more half answers." Lyra opened her eyes slowly. They glimmered faintly, catching the starlight from the cave entrance. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she gave a small nod. "Yes?" "Truth." John leaned forward, his voice sharp. "Why are they hunting you? What is this map you put inside me? What are we even running from?" Her gaze met his, and for the first time he saw not just fear, but sorrow. "I was sent here," she began slowly, carefully shaping each word. "Not by accident. My people chose me. I carry message." "A message?" John asked, confused. "Yes. Warning." Her voice cracked slightly, as if the word itself carried weight. "Danger comes, not far." Not long, John's stomach twisted. "Danger from who?" Lyra's silver blue eyes darkened. "From them. The hunters. They not just soldiers. They are servants. Servants of greater power. A power that eats worlds." John's skin prickled. "Eats worlds? You mean invaders?" She nodded. "Yes, invaders. My people fought them. Long war, too long. We lose many. Ships burn. Planets fall. They come here next." John's throat tightened. His mind wanted to reject it, to laugh it off as fantasy. But deep down he knew. The crash. The hunters. Her glowing veins. None of it was fantasy. "And your mission," he said slowly, "was to warn us." "Yes," she whispered. Her fingers traced the glowing symbols faintly shining on her wrist. "This code, this map, it shows the way. Weakness in their power. A chance to fight back. If humans know before they come, maybe you live. Maybe not. All lost." John rubbed his face with both hands, trying to breathe through the storm in his mind. He was just an ordinary man. No soldier, no hero. And yet somehow he now carried part of this alien map inside him. "Why me?" he muttered. "Why the hell did you give this to me?" Lyra's eyes softened. "Because you chose. You did not give me away. You did not run. You stayed." John looked at her, almost laughing. "I didn't choose." I panicked. "I'm not some savior. I'm a guy who ordered breakfast." Her lips curved into the faintest smile. "Sometimes, smallest choice changes fate of many." The words hit him harder than he expected. He looked away, staring at the jagged cave wall. Outside, the desert wind howled, carrying sand across the rocks. It sounded almost like whispers. John clenched his fists. "So if I understand this right, those hunters out there, they're not just after you. They're after Earth. And if they get this map, if they stop your warning, we're finished." "Yes," she said simply. John's head fell back against the wall. His whole body felt heavy. Damn it, for a while neither spoke. Only the sound of dripping water filled the silence. Finally, John whispered, "How do we send your message? How do we warn people?" Her eyes brightened slightly, a small flame in the dark. "Beacon, hidden place? Far but close enough. If we reach it, I send signal. My people here, they come. Maybe help. Where is it?" She hesitated, then answered, "Mountains. Old ruins, far west. I can guide," John groaned. His legs already felt like they would break from the running, and now she wanted to cross half the desert. But he also knew there was no choice. "Great," he muttered. "No car, no weapons, hunters on our tail. and we're supposed to hike through the desert to some alien beacon. Sounds like a death wish. But Lyra leaned closer, her glowing hand resting lightly on his arm. Not death, hope. John looked at her hand. The faint light spread across his skin again, reminding him of the bond she had created between them. He still didn't understand it fully, but he felt it, like a thread tying them together, pulling him into something greater. He met her eyes. If we do this, if we reach the beacon, what happens to you? Her smile faded. She looked down, her voice quiet. Maybe I live. Maybe not. I am last of my ship. My life already given. John's chest tightened. For the first time, he saw her not as an alien, not as some glowing stranger, but as someone carrying a burden too heavy for one person. Someone willing to die just so others might live. He shook his head. No, not happening. If you go down, I go down too. We finish this together. Her silver eyes shimmered. She gave the smallest nod. Outside, the night deepened. Stars blazed across the sky, endless and cold. Somewhere out there, John realized, was the power that had destroyed her world, and it was coming for his. But for the first time since this nightmare began, he didn't feel powerless. He felt ready, because now he understood the truth of her mission. And it wasn't just her mission anymore. It was his too. The desert mountains loomed in the distance, jagged shadows against the early dawn sky. John's legs ached with every step, his throat dry, his body screaming to stop, but he pushed forward. Lyra walked beside him, her silver veins glowing faintly in the pale light. She looked weak, but her eyes still burned with purpose. Somewhere in those mountains lay the beacon, the last chance to send her warning across the stars. Behind them, the hunters were not far. The black van had returned. Drones buzzed across the sky like vultures. The air carried the distant growl of engines. They close, Lyra said softly. Her voice was steady, but her glow dimmed even more. John wiped sweat from his face. Then we'd better make this beacon worth it. They climbed higher, rocks cutting into their hands. The path narrowed, leading to a ruined stone structure half buried in the mountain. It looked ancient, older than anything human. Carvings marked the walls, symbols glowing faintly, similar to the ones under Lyra's skin. This is it, she whispered. Awe filled her voice, even through exhaustion. Beacon. John helped her inside. The chamber was small, circular, with a broken dome open to the rising sun. In the center stood a strange pillar of crystal and metal, cracked but still humming faintly. Lyra approached it slowly, placing her glowing hand on its surface. The pillar flared with light, responding to her touch. John's jaw dropped. It still works? Yes, she whispered. Her silver blue eyes shone brighter, but power low. Need all I have. Before John could ask what she meant, a sharp crack echoed outside. Boots, voices, the hunters had found them. Seal the exit. One shouted. John cursed, spinning toward the doorway. Shadows moved closer. He grabbed a loose metal rod from the floor, gripping it like a bat. His hands trembled, but he stood firm. They're coming, he said. Lyra didn't move. Her focus stayed on the beacon, her light spreading into it. Hold them. I finish. John's stomach dropped. Hold them? With this? He waved the rod. You've seen these guys, they're not playing games. But Lyra only whispered, trust, just little time. The hunters stormed in. Black armor, glowing weapons, their faces hidden behind masks. There she is, one barked. Take them both, alive if possible. John's heart pounded. He stepped in front of Lyra, raising the rod. You want her, you'll have to go through me. The hunter laughed coldly. Move aside, human. You don't understand what you're protecting. John tightened his grip. Maybe not. But I know this, if you want her, you're gonna bleed for it, the first hunter charged. John swung wildly. The rod cracked against armor, useless but loud. He stumbled back, adrenaline surging. The hunter shoved him, sending him crashing into the wall. John gasped, pain shooting through his chest. But he stood again, blood dripping from his lip. He wasn't giving up. Behind him, the beacon glowed brighter. Lyra's body shook, her light pouring into the crystal. Her voice rang out clear and powerful, no longer broken. To all who hear, danger comes. The devourers move for Earth. Prepare, fight, live. The hunter shouted, realizing what she was doing. Stop her. Two of them lunged toward the beacon. John roared, swinging the rod with everything he had. It slammed into one's helmet, knocking him sideways. The other raised his weapon, aimed straight at Lyra. No! John threw himself forward. The blast hit his side, burning pain tearing through him. He fell hard, gasping. Lyra screamed, her glow exploding outward. The beacon blazed like a second sun, light flooding the chamber. The hunters staggered, blinded, their weapons sparking. The message shot upward, a beam of silver slicing the sky, vanishing into the stars. Silence followed. The hunters, stunned and disoriented, stumbled back. Their leader snarled, "This isn't over. The signal won't save them." He signaled retreat. The black van roared away, drones scattering into the dawn. The chamber dimmed again. The beacon's glow faded. John lay on the ground, clutching his side, his breath shallow. Did it work? Lyra knelt beside him, her hands glowing faintly as she pressed them to his wound. "Yes," she whispered. "The star's here. My people will come." John winced but managed a weak smile. Good. Then breakfast wasn't a total disaster. Her eyes softened, shimmering with both sadness and hope. "You saved me. You saved your world." He shook his head. "We saved it, together." For a moment, silence filled the chamber again. Outside, the sun rose higher, painting the desert in gold. The night of fear was over, but a new dawn had begun, a dawn carrying both danger and hope. Lyra looked at John one last time, her silver veins glowing brighter than ever. "Sometimes," she whispered, "universe chooses strange heroes." John chuckled weakly, closing his eyes. "Yeah, a guy who just wanted eggs and coffee." And as the beam faded into the heavens, carrying their warning across the void, John realized the truth. Breakfast had changed everything.